guys, welcome back to my channel. Simone here, and today is going to be my 12 books I want to read in 2019. So I have a lot of books on my shelves that I haven't yet read, and there's quite a lot of them that I've heard lots about and that I'm really excited about. So I decided to make a list of 12 of the most exciting ones for me, and I'm going to hopefully read one a month for the rest of the year. Now, if you watched my January TBR that went up on Monday, you'll know that I have 3 lists. So one is my 5-star predictions, which already went up in Vlogmas, I'll link below. One is this one, and then there's also going to be a project thriller, and all of those 3 lists are going to have 12 books that I want to read, 1 book per month. So excited, very much so. Also, by the way, Happy New Year! I just remembered this is the first video that's going up in 2019, which is really exciting. So let's get started with the video. So the first book is the one that I kind of spoiled you on Monday if you watched that, and that's the one I want to read in January, and that is going to be The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot, which is about a woman who was a poor black tobacco farmer who died in 1951 of cancer. Unbeknownst to her, her cancer cells were taken, and she is now known as Healer, or the cells are, and she basically has the they've used her cells basically in order to kind of pioneer medicine, but none of her family or her knew about the fact that they were using her cells. And so 20 years later, things happened, they found out, and it was very, very devastating. This is a non-fiction book, and again, like I've said in previous videos, I'm really loving non-fiction right now. I'm reading quite a lot of them, and I feel like this is just one that I'm really excited about. And yeah, this is the one for January. The second book that I'm really excited to read, and that I have been wanting to read for ages, and I've owned for ages, and I've still not picked up, is Illuminate by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, which is a science fiction book, I think. I don't really know too much about the story, but what I do know is that, as you can see, firstly, this is a very heavy and very thick book. I think it's actually quite a few pages. It's nearly 600 pages, but basically it has lots of different types of media in this. So there's text messages, there's emails, there's kind of documents, and it's all about that. It's set in space, which I think is really interesting. I don't think I've read too many books set in space, and I do tend to like the ones I do read. So yeah, don't know anything about it, apart from apparently the back says the year is 2575, so it's also a book set in the future, which is exciting. I love the cover of this. I know there's 3 books. I think, is that it? Is that just going to be the 3? I'm not sure, but I'm really excited to get to this one, and hopefully I will sometime this year. Next up is one I have on my Kindle, and that is 3 Dark Crowns by Kendar Blake. This is a story about 3 sisters who have been separated at birth, and they are all princesses, and basically only one of them can be the new queen, essentially, and so they have to fight against each other, and whoever survives or lives to tell the tale gets to be the queen, and it's about that, I think. I've heard good and bad things about this. Again, I think this is like 3 books now. Is it 3? I think it's going to be 4 books altogether, and I think 3 are out now. It could be completely wrong, but anyway, I have the first one on my Kindle, and I would like to get to it at some point because I feel like this is a book that everybody is talking about. Next up is a Stephen King book, and I feel like there will probably be quite a few of these this year, but this is one that I'm desperate to get to, and that is Cell by Stephen King. I've mentioned this quite a few times in videos before, but this basically has something in it that terrifies me, and that is the idea of technology or mobile phones essentially killing us. So this actually follows or talks about a virus that goes through cell phones and kills or turns everybody into zombies, I think. And then Clayton Riddell, a young artist, knows he has to reach his son before the boy switches on his phone and time is running out. And yeah, I'm very interested. Again, it terrifies me. How long is this one? This is nearly 500 pages, so I feel like this year I'm kind of picking up bigger books, and I'm actually not that bothered about that. I'm quite happy about it. I'm really looking forward to this one. This is definitely a Stephen King book that I've had on my shelf for a long time and I'm excited about. And yeah, hopefully I'll read lots more Stephen King this year, but this is one that I'm definitely sure I'm going to get to. Next up is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I have talked about this before. In fact, I think this was in one of my TBRs for the end of 2018, and I just didn't get to it. I've heard lots of people talking about this, especially Lauren from Lauren in the Book. She really raves about Daphne du Maurier in general, and I've not read a single Daphne du Maurier book in my life. Rebecca sounds to me really interesting. I don't really know too much about it. Let me just read what it says. Working as the lady's companion, the heroine of Rebecca learns her place. Her future looks bleak until on a trip to the south of France she meets Max de Winter, a handsome widower whose sudden proposal of marriage takes her by surprise. She accepts, but whisked from glamorous Monte Carlo to the ominous and brooding Manderley, the new Mrs. de Winter finds Max a changed man, and the memory of his dead wife Rebecca is forever kept alive by the forbidding housekeeper Mrs. Danvers. I have heard this compared, or at least sort of mentioned in the same breath as Jane Eyre, which, as you'll all know, is my favourite classic of all time. In fact, it's one of my favourite books of all time. So I feel like this is going to be one I'm going to enjoy. This book is also nearly 450 pages, so again, quite a big book, but I am excited, and I feel like this is just going to be right up my street. You will also notice there is quite a lot of thrillers in this list, but as I said, there will be a Project Thriller list coming out later this month, talking about the thriller books that I want to read this month, but this has still got thrillers in because I basically just want to read all the thrillers because I'm really excited. So the next one I have is another thriller, and that is Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. Paula Hawkins is the author of The Girl on the Train, which was a book and film that I quite enjoyed. I'm excited to read another one. This also says the thriller of the year on it, so I feel like, I mean, that says a lot, doesn't it? This just says, just days before her sister plunged to her death, Jules ignored her call. Now Nell is dead. They say she jumped. And Jules must return to her sister's house to care for her daughter and to face the mystery of Nell's death. But Jules is afraid of her long-buried memories of the old mill house, of this small town that is drowning in secrecy, and of knowing that Nell would never have jumped. And this sounds really interesting to me. I think I've heard people talk about like witches and stuff with this. Again, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm really excited. Like I said, I love a thriller. I did enjoy The Girl on the Train, so I feel like Into the Water is quite a good one. And actually, one of my colleagues at work, who's not anything to do with my booktube or bookish life really, really loved this book and actually recommended it to me, so I feel like I definitely need to get to it. Then the next one is one I talked about a lot in my book colours tag that went up in Vlogmas, so again I'll link that below. And this is Final Girls by Riley Sager. Now I think I mentioned this was the book I was most excited for, or the book that I wanted to read the most. This follows 3 girls who are known as the Final Girls because each one of them has been involved in a massacre or a kind of horrible circumstance basically where they have become the final girl or the final survivor, and each one of them has been through an individual one of those, and then one of the 3 is found dead in mysterious circumstances, and the other 2 kind of don't know what's going on, think it might have something to do with that. And again, I'm really excited. This one says a tense thriller you won't be able to put down, and that is really what I like with thrillers. I love one that's going to completely change, completely throw me off and me not know what is going on. So yeah, I'm excited about this one quite a lot, and I feel like I'm going to definitely get to this one this year. The next one is one that you might be shocked to know is not a thriller. I know, keep it together now. It is Attachments by Rainbow Rowell. Now, you may know I loved most of the books I've read by Rainbow Rowell. I really enjoyed Eleanor and Park. I really enjoyed Fangirl. Carry On was great. The only one I did not enjoy of hers was Landline, which is one of her adult novels, and this is another one of her adult novels, so I'm a little bit nervous. Yeah, quite scared to read this one. This is set in 1999, and it's about 2 colleagues, Beth and Jennifer, who are emailing back and forward, and Lincoln is the IT guy who is responsible for essentially monitoring their emails, and so he spends hours reading their emails basically. And then he falls in love with one of the girls, and then he meets her and has to kind of like introduce himself, I guess, and I'm not entirely sure what happens. I'm quite scared but intrigued, and I feel like I definitely need to get to this one. I feel like I can't put off reading another Rainbow Rowell book, or I feel like I'll never do it because I am just kind of nervous to read. But yeah, I feel like this one will be quite good. I also love the cover of this, so I like having it on my shelves, but I like to read it more. I think this next book definitely wants to be read because it keeps jumping off my shelves. Like, I have piles of books over here which don't fit on these shelves, and basically this one's on the top and it keeps falling off, so I feel like I should probably get to it quite soon. This is In the Woods by Tana French, which is the first book in the Dublin Murder Squad, and I'm really excited to read this because I've heard lots of things about Tana French in general, and I have never read a Tana French book. I think this book is set where beforehand, about 20 years before, 3 children are playing in the woods and only one of them comes back, and that is he's now a man named Rob Ryan, and he's a detective in the Dublin police force who's changed his name. Then they find a little girl's body at the site of what happened before, and he's kind of drawn back into that, and it's about what happened, and they try and figure things out. I think this could be really interesting. Obviously I don't know what happened at all. This is another 600-page book, but I feel like with thrillers they don't take as long to read because you're really like into them and want to continue reading. So, and this is also her debut, I think, which I think that's true. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one, and hopefully if I love it I'll be able to continue the series. But yeah, this is definitely on my list for the year. Next up is an author and a book that I've never read before, and I'm really excited to read. I heard Leanne from Literary Diversions talking about this book, and I love her channel. I get so many recommendations from her. And then I also had Nicole from A Beautiful Chaos of Books talk about this as one of her favourite books of the year. So I mean, why would I not pick it up? And that is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. I know this has a lot of kind of gory stuff in it, and I am excited to read it. I'm a little bit nervous because I just don't know what to expect of it. I will just quickly read this one. It says, 20 years ago, Claire Scott's eldest sister, Julia, went missing. It was a mystery that was never solved, and it tore her family apart. Now another girl has disappeared with chilling echoes of the past, and Claire is convinced that Julia's disappearance is linked. But when she begins to learn the truth about her sister, she is confronted with a shocking discovery, and nothing will ever be the same. So yeah, again, big book. Another one. I think this one is nearly 550 pages long. I have heard, like I said, great things, not so great things, unsure things. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one quite a lot, and again, this is another thriller author that I would love to get into, so hopefully I will enjoy this book and then I will be able to continue and read more of her stuff. Number 11 is a book that I've had on my shelf for quite a long time, and I still don't really understand what it's about. I've heard people say that when people talk about it, they don't say what it's really about, if that makes sense. So people tend to go into it without really understanding it, and then they read it and realise what it's actually about. This is Station 11 by Emily St John Mandel, which I thought was a dystopian book about kind of the end of the world. Apparently not so much. All it says is, one snowy night in Toronto, famous actor Arthur Leander dies on stage whilst performing the role of a lifetime. That same evening, a deadly virus touches down in North America. The world will never be the same again. 20 years later, Kirsten, an actress in the Travelling Symphony, performs Shakespeare in the settlements that have grown up since the collapse, but then her newly hopeful world is threatened. If civilization was lost, what would you preserve, and how far would you go to protect it? So yeah, I'm really unsure what this actually is about, because like I said, I've heard lots of people say different things, and maybe people get different things from it, I'm not entirely sure. But I still am quite excited. Like I said, I've had this on my shelf for a long time. Lots of people love this book. I feel like this is one of those books that you either love or you hate, so I mean, I'm excited to find out if I love or hate it. And I love this cover, so I'm quite excited about it anyway. And then the final book on this shelf is actually a YA contemporary book that I've heard lots about and has been turned into a movie, so I need to read it so I can watch the film. And that is Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon, which I think is about a girl named Maddie who is allergic to the world. She hasn't left her house in 17 years, and then their boy moves in next door, and then she wants to kind of like be a normal person, I guess, and kind of be able to live a normal life, and it's about that. This is Nicola Yoon's first book. I think she also has written, is it The Sun Is Also a Star? So I'd quite like to read that at some point as well, but I don't actually own that one. So I feel like this one is definitely a good place to start with that. It's not a very big book, this one. It's quite a surprise, I know. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to this. This isn't something that I would generally gravitate to if I read the synopsis so much, but I think this is definitely one that I feel like it's about love, and I think that's always exciting, and also possibly about some kind of illness as well. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I hope it's not kind of the guy swoops in and saves the girl. She suddenly is not ill anymore. I really hope it's not that, but we will see, of course. So there you are, guys. That is the 12 books that I hope to read in 2019. As I said, there will be a future project thriller coming up, and obviously I've already done my 5-star predictions, so they are kind of the books that I'm really hoping to get to desperately this year. Hopefully I will read The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks this month, and then that will set me off on a good start. But let me know if you've read any of these books and if you think any of them should be bumped to the top of the list. And yeah, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and let me know what you want to read in 2019, and I will see you on Friday for another video. Bye guys!